Lesson 3, the simple present tense. The learning objectives. Dear students, by the end of this lesson, you will be able to form the simple present tense appropriately, recognize the use of the simple present tense. The simple present tense affirmative statements. Use the base form of the verb, for example, play, with the personal pronouns I, you, we, or they, or with the plural form of nouns. So, in the present simple tense, we use the base form of the verb after the pronouns I, you, we, or they, or after any plural form of nouns. Now, what do we mean by the base form of the verb? Now, pay attention to this example. The verb play has four forms. We have play, we have plays, we have playing, and we have played. Now, the base form of the verb play is the first one, play. Okay, now plays is not a base form. Why? Because here we have S. Playing is not a base form. Why? Because here we have ing. Played is not a base form because it has ed at the end. So these are called suffixes. So when we delete the suffix, then we'll have the base form. So the base form of the verb means the verb without any suffixes. Examples. I speak English. You play football. We study hard. They sleep early. Notice here that after the personal pronouns I, you, we, and they, we use the base form of the verb without any suffixes, without s, without ing, without ed. So in the present simple tense, we use the base form of the verb after the personal pronouns I, you, we, or they, or after any plural form of nouns. Use the base form of the verb plus s or es, for example, plays, with the personal pronouns he, she, it, or with the singular form of nouns. So when the subject is either he, she, or it, or a singular form of nouns, we need to add s or es to the verb. Examples. He teaches English. He teaches English. Notice here that we add es to the verb because the subject is he. She helps her mother. She helps her mother. Notice here also we add s to the verb because the subject is she. It rains a lot. We add s to the verb because the subject is it. Tom plays tennis. Also here we add s to the verb because the subject is a singular noun, Tom. Okay, so when the subject is he, she, it, or a singular form of noun, we need to add s or es. The simple present tense, negative statements and contractions. Use do not or the contracted form don't plus the base form of the verb, for example, do not play, with the personal pronouns I, you, we, or they, or with the plural form of nouns. Examples. I don't speak English. Notice here we use do not after the pronoun I. Okay, and the contracted form is don't. I don't speak English. You do not play football. Notice here also we use do not, okay, after the subject you, and the contracted form is you don't play football. We do not study hard. Again here also we use do not after the subject we, and the contracted form is we don't study hard. Another example. They do not sleep early. Again, notice here we use do not after the pronoun they, and the contracted form they don't sleep early. So again, after the personal pronouns I, you, we, and they, we use do not plus the base form of the verb. The base form of the verb. Use does not or the contracted form doesn't plus the base form of the verb. For example, doesn't go with the personal pronouns he, she, it, or with singular form of nouns. So when we have he, she, or it, or any singular form of nouns as a subject, we have to use does not or doesn't plus the base form of the verb. Examples. He does not go to school. Notice here that we use the negative form does not go after the pronoun he. He does not go to school. Can we say here he do not go? No, we cannot. This is incorrect. This is wrong. Why? Because the subject pronoun he is followed by does not. It cannot be followed by do not. Now, the contracted form, he doesn't go to school. He doesn't go to school. Another example. She does not teach English. She does not teach English. Notice here also we use does not after the pronoun she. The contracted form, she doesn't teach English. It does not rain a lot. It does not rain a lot. And also we use does not after the pronoun it, the contracted form. It doesn't rain a lot. Notice here that after does not, okay, we use the base form. The base form. So we cannot say he doesn't or he does not goes. No, this is wrong. Okay, we need to remove or delete the es. So we have to say he doesn't go to school. It doesn't rain a lot. Can we say it doesn't rains a lot? No, we have to delete the s. So in the negative form, we use the base form of the verb. So be careful. Don't add the s or the es to the base form with doesn't. So when we use doesn't, okay, delete the s, okay, delete the s or the es. So we cannot say it doesn't rains, okay, delete the s. The simple present tense, yes, no questions. Begin your yes, no question with do with the personal pronouns I, you, we, or they, or with the plural form of nouns. So started your question with the verb do plus the personal pronoun plus the base form of the verb and then complete your question. So again, we start with do plus the pronoun, okay, the personal pronoun I, you, we, or they, or with a noun, a plural noun, for example, students, schools, plus the base form of the verb and then complete your question. Examples. Do you speak English? Do you speak English? So notice here that we start the question with do and then we have the pronoun, the subject, and after that we have the base form of the verb. Do you speak English? The answer could be yes, I do. I speak English very well. Another example. Do they live in a house? Notice here also we start the question with the verb do. After that we have the pronoun, the subject pronoun they, and after that we have the base form of the verb live. Do they live in a house? No, they don't. They live in an apartment. Begin your yes no question with does with the personal pronouns he, she, or it, or with the singular form of nouns. So start your question with does plus he or she or it. okay, or it. Or we can use a noun, for example, okay, Ali, Huda, class, etc. Plus the base form of the verb. The base form of the verb. And then complete your question. So again, start your question with does plus he, she, or it, or any singular noun, Ali, Huda, class, etc., plus the base form of the verb without s. Okay, so remember that when we start the question with does, delete the s or the es. Examples. Does Sammy know your email address? Notice here, the question starts with does, then we have a noun, a singular noun. After that, we have the base form of the verb. Does Sammy know your email? Can we say, does Sammy knows? No, this is wrong. We have to delete the s. Why? Because the question starts with the verb does. Okay, so this is incorrect. Remove the s. Yes, he does. This is the answer. Or we can put an affirmative statement. Sammy knows my email address. Another example. Does it rain a lot in your city? Again, this question starts with does because the subject is it. After that, we have the base form. Does it rain a lot in your city? Again, can we say, does it rains? No, we cannot. We have to delete the s. Why? Because here we have, okay, the verb does. This question starts with the verb does. So whenever your question starts with the verb does, you have to delete, okay, the s or the es. So the answer could be no, it doesn't. It doesn't rain a lot in my city. Notice here that also we don't have s here. Why? Because we have doesn't. So whenever you use does or doesn't, delete the s. Use only the base form of the verb. Again, be careful. Don't add the s or es to the base form with does. So whenever you use the verb does, you have to delete the s or the es. The simple present tense WH questions. Begin your WH question with a question word. So in WH questions, we start the question with a question word. For example, what, where, when, who, why, how, what time, etc. Okay, then use the same word order as in yes no question. Okay, the same word order. This means that we start the question with WH word plus, okay, plus do or does plus the subject, okay, plus the base form of the verb, the base form of the verb, and then complete your question. Now remember, the subject could be a pronoun, okay, could be a pronoun, he, she, or it, or it could be I, you, we, or they, or it could be a noun. It could be also a noun. It could be a noun. For example, okay, Ahmad, students, etc. Examples. Where does your friend live? Notice here that this question starts with the question word, followed by does, followed by the subject, a singular noun, followed by the base form of the verb. Where does your friend live? The answer, he lives in London. Notice here that when we use does, we don't add s to the verb. Okay, so don't say lives or don't use the s. So you have to delete the s. We have to use live. Another example. What time does your class begin? The question word here is what time, followed by the verb does, followed by the subject, okay, a singular noun, followed by the base form of the verb. So again, notice here that whenever we use does, we need to delete the s. We cannot say begins. No, this is incorrect. Okay, this is incorrect. The answer, my class begins at 9:30. 9:30. My class begins at 9:30. So again, the word order is very important in forming questions. First, number one, start with a question word. Then use do or does. Then you need to use the subject, either noun or pronoun. After that, you need to use the base form of the verb. Then complete your question. Another example. What do you do in your free time? Again, here notice that we start with a question word followed by the helping verb do. The subject here is a pronoun, it is you. After that, we have the main verb, the base form. Then complete your question. The answer, I read a lot and sometimes I go to the gym with my friends. The simple present tense. Use the simple present tense to talk about something that happens all the time or repeatedly, i.e. usual activities and habits. Examples. Ali works all day and studies at night. Notice here that these two actions happen repeatedly as usual activities. Another example. I get up at 6. I get up at 6. Also, this action happens repeatedly. This is a habit or this is a usual activity. The simple present tense also can be used to talk about how often something happens. How often something happens. Example. My little sister sometimes helps her mother in the kitchen. Notice here that we use the present simple tense with the adverb of frequency. With the adverb frequency, sometime. They seldom take a vacation. They seldom take a vacation. Again, okay, this verb here is used in the simple present tense because of the adverb of frequency. So with adverb frequencies, we use the simple present tense. The simple present tense also can be used to talk about something that is true in general, i.e. facts. Examples. The sun rises in the east. The sun rises in the east. This is a fact, okay? So notice here that this sentence is in the present simple tense. We add s to the verb because the subject here is a singular noun. Another example. Birds fly. Also notice here that this is a fact and the subject here is plural. This is a plural noun. So we use the base form of the verb without s. The simple present tense, adverbs of frequency. The meaning of adverbs of frequency. Now, what do we mean by an adverb of frequency? An adverb of frequency tells us how often an action happens. Okay, so an adverb frequency tells us how often an action happens. Let's study the meaning of the following adverbs of frequency. Always. Always means 100%. Example, I always pray in the mosque. Usually. Usually means from 90% to 99%. Example, Susan usually brushes her teeth. Often. Often means from 75% to 90%. Example, we often watch TV after lunch. Sometimes. Sometimes means from 25% to 75%. Example, John sometimes makes his bed. Seldom. Seldom means from 5% to 10%. Example, our teacher seldom comes to class late. Rarely. Rarely means from 1% to 10%. My father rarely travels abroad. Never. Never means 0%. Example, my sister never eats meat. Notice that all these sentences are in the present simple. In the present simple. And notice also that the adverb comes immediately before the verb. Comes immediately before the verb. The simple present tense, the position of adverbs of frequency. Now we are going to talk about the place. Where do we use or do we put the adverb frequency in the sentence? Use adverbs of frequency between the subject and the simple present verb, except main verb be. So this rule doesn't apply to verb be. Examples: I usually walk to school. Notice here that the adverb comes before the verb and after the subject. It comes before the verb, this is the verb, and after the subject. Another example: Khalid often takes the bus to work. Again, this is the adverb. The adverb comes before the verb and after the subject. This is the subject and this is the verb. Use adverbs of frequency after main verb be. After main verb be, after am or is or are. So after am or is or are, we put the adverb. Or the adverb comes after am, is, or are. Examples: Our teacher is always on time. Notice here that the adverb comes after the verb. After the verb. We are never late. We are never late. Notice also here the adverb comes after the verb. After the verb. The simple present tense, the spelling of the third person final S. Add es to verbs ending in sha, cha, sa, x. So if the verb ends in sha, cha, sa, or x, we add es to this verb. Examples: wash. Notice here the verb wash ends in sha. So we add es. Example: Ali washes his hands before he eats. Teach ends in cha. So we add es. John teaches English. Mess. This verb ends in s. Misses, we add es. Tom misses his mother a lot. Fix. This verb ends in x. So we add es to this verb. Mike fixes computers. Delete the y and add ies to verbs ending in y and is preceded by a consonant. A consonant like t, b, l, s, n, k, r, p, v, etc. These letters are called consonants. Examples: cry. Notice here that this verb ends in y, but this y is preceded by a consonant, the r. Here the r is what? It is a consonant, okay? A consonant. So in this case, we delete the y and we add ies. Our baby cries a lot. Our baby cries a lot. Here our baby is a singular noun, so we need to add ies to the verb. Fly. Also the verb fly ends in y and the y is preceded by the l and the l is a consonant, so we need to delete the y and add ies. My father is a singular noun, so we need to add ies to the verb. My father flies to Dubai every month. Try. Again, try ends in y and the y is preceded by the r and the r is a consonant, so we have to delete the y and add ies to the verb. Mary tries to lose weight. Here Mary is a singular noun, so we need to add ies to the verb. Study. study ends in Y, and the Y is preceded by the D, and the D is a consonant, so we need to delete the Y and add IES to the verb. Example, Ali studies computer science. So here, Ali is a singular noun, so we need to add IES to the verb. So if the verb ends in Y and this Y is preceded by a consonant, delete the Y and add IES to the verb. Add only S to the verbs ending in Y and is preceded by a vowel. These are the vowels A, I, E, O, and U. Examples. Buy. Notice here, this verb ends in Y, but Y is preceded by a vowel. This is a vowel. Okay, this is a vowel letter. So we add only S. Okay, don't delete the Y. Keep the Y and add only S. Example, my father always buys us some ice cream. My father is a singular noun, so we need to add S to the verb. Okay, so don't delete the Y. If you delete the Y, then this will be incorrect. This is incorrect. Add only S. Say. The verb say ends in Y and is preceded by A, and A is what is a vowel. Okay, so just add S to the verb. Example, the sign says back in 10 minutes. So the sign is a singular noun, so we need to add S. Okay, we keep the Y and add S. Enjoy, again, this verb ends in Y and is preceded by what? By a vowel. Okay, is preceded by a vowel, so keep the Y and add only S. Example, Mary enjoys traveling abroad. Mary is a singular noun, so we need to add S to the verb. Play. Play ends in Y, and this Y is preceded by A, and the letter A is a vowel, so keep the Y and add S only. Bob plays football once a week. Bob is a singular noun, so we need to add S to the verb. So if the letter Y is preceded by a vowel, keep the Y and add only S to the verb in the third person singular. Some verbs are irregular. Have becomes has in the third person singular. Ahmed has 2 brothers and 1 sister. Now Ahmed is a singular noun, so we use has. We cannot say haves. Okay, we cannot add S to the verb have. This is incorrect. This is wrong. Do. With do, add ES to the verb. He often does his homework after dinner. So with the personal pronoun he, we use does. We add ES. Go becomes goes. Okay, becomes goes. So Salma goes shopping every week. Salma is a singular noun, so we add ES. These forms are irregular. These are irregular forms. Thank you for listening.
Please give comment and suggestions.
Thank you.
Subscribe our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for more updates. Thank for visit our channel. See you next class.
Thank you.